show that we are under some of the most vicious lying, fabricating, fictitious government you ever seen. By the time it's all said and done, you will see who is the mass murderers in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida. You will know why what occurred on March 18, 2018 occurred. And the evidence is going to show that law enforcement tampered with evidence to meet their such high burden of proof. Because originally, it wasn't enough. So we had to tamper with evidence. Since it was such evident already, but we still had to tamper with evidence. The evidence is going to show my son did not see me murder his mom. The evidence is going to show he did not see me shoot his mom. The evidence is going to show my son said many things that are not true. The evidence is going to show that I called 911 during Kenyatta Barron's 911 call. But all of a sudden, it ends up after I called Kenyatta, after Kenyatta Barron's call was made. Now I'm calling 911. But originally, I called 911 without even knowing she called 911 during her call. But the evidence is going to show that your representatives and law enforcement, local law enforcement, wanted to make it seem like I'm some kind of menace to society. And I ran after killing Kenyatta Barron, knowing that authority was on the way to kill my own children. I wonder why I would do something like that for no reason. And I'm standing here competent as can be, representing myself today. The evidence is going to show my son did not witness me viciously beat his mom to death. The evidence is going to show my neighbor, Khalil Brown, whom they are trying to keep out of this trial, witnessed me take 3 strikes. The evidence is going to show that law enforcement and this administration wanted to make me look like a menace to society. society. So they added several mini strikes on that video and audio that you just heard. And they added several statements that I did not say. Anything that I may have said, they exacerbated it and made me say it consecutively over and over like Allahu Akbar, which I may have said once or twice, but they wanted to make me seem like a terrorist, and so you hear it 8 or 9 times, and you hear me calling Kenyatta Barron a bitch and a whore. The evidence is going to show that I called my dad after calling 911. But that call is all of a sudden missing from the T-Mobile records that we have acquired from T-Mobile. The 911 call that I made to 911 and the 911 call that you just heard cannot be proven that it was made, because after I called for an investigation of those 911 calls, all of a sudden they become missing from all evidence. The evidence is going to show Kenyatta Barron supposedly made a 911 call, but you cannot find that on her call log, which we pulled from her actual phone. They say she made a call at 11:43. There's no 911 call at 11:43 on her call log. All of a sudden, after I called for an investigation of the original cause. That's what the evidence is going to show. is the author of. The evidence will show that in that CRA, I told the neighbor, don't come outside, call 911 now. But you don't hear that on this audio for some reason. But you hear all these other things that I did not say. That same CRA will have the statements of Khalil Brown saying that he saw me take 3 strikes with that shotgun and nothing else. The evidence is going to show that Mr. Harmon here says that that big chunk missing out of her arm was a bird shot. It was not a bird shot. And whatever kind of shot it was, if it was a slug shot or a bird shot, where's the missing pieces of her arm? The evidence is going to show you will not see any missing pieces of her arm in that closet where she was shot. You should see some evidence of shots, but there were several shots added to the wall to make it look like I aimed at her head. That's what the evidence is going to show. Remember, I told you the evidence will not show you that my son witnessed me beat his mom to death, nor did he witness me shoot his mom. In fact, he didn't witness much at all. And the evidence will show that my son said my dad shot my mom is the correct statement if you want to cite statements, if he even said it. Because I can guarantee you the evidence is going to show you we are under the most corrupt administration you've ever seen in your life. I guarantee you I wouldn't waste your time. I would have already took a plea deal of some kind if I knew I did something like this. Because most people don't even go to trial when they know they've killed somebody unjustly. The evidence is going to show you who the killers are. pleading not guilty to the charges of premeditated murder, attempted murder, aggravated child abuse or battery, arson, resisting arrest without violence. And while I'm at that, the evidence is going to show that they tased me for no reason. But they tampered with that video because they didn't want you to know the truth. And it might sound far-fetched, but I guarantee you, we're going to see who the liars are before it's all said and done. Mark my words. Because my family lives were taken. When my daughter was done, this is what the evidence will show. When my daughter was born, it was me who gave the command, the final command to keep her alive when she was on life support. When she was born, 2 pounds, 2 ounces, and couldn't breathe on her own, it was me who fought to keep her alive. But all of a sudden, I just want to take her life for no reason. I'm asserting justifiable homicide because I acted in self-defense and moved to protect myself and my children from Kenyatta Barron. I'm going to be showing with evidence several reasonable reasons to doubt the state's allegations against me. The evidence will show that the state cannot prove that I premeditatedly killed anyone because I didn't have any time to reflect or plot and plan as if everything happened suddenly and spontaneously. I responded out of pure instinct and heat of passion. Eliminating any kind of premeditated design. And let me just say, the evidence will show that since the state plans to kill me, if they can say that I killed my family unjustly, they plan to premeditatedly kill me, so they cannot say or deny me the right to premeditatedly kill Kenyatta Barron if she killed my children. The evidence will show that Kenyatta Barron had several medications and drugs such as morphine in her system. The evidence will show she had a domestic history and was arrested for domestic violence that same year. She also was born premature, just like Ronnie.
Judge, I'd object at this point.
I'm going to sustain the objection as to that particular argument regarding Ms. Barron being born prematurely. All right? You may continue on, Mr. O'Neill.
I didn't even state the basis of his objection.
I've ruled, Mr. O'Neill, okay?
I understand, but I have to state the basis of my objections, right?
Well, that is correct, and I just assume what the objection is. So go ahead and state it for the record, Mr. Harmon.
Proper argument.
That's sustained.
The evidence will show that she threatened to kill me with a knife just a few weeks before the incident, and she was angry about my relationship with my other child's mom, and about the fact that we had to be cordial for our newborn son. And the evidence will show that they had been going back and forth and arguing on Facebook and by telephone that whole afternoon before the incident. The evidence will show that me and my son was at my mom's house while I was putting brakes on my aunt's car. Me and my son spent the whole day at my mom and dad's house working on the car. When we came back home, I never knew she was arguing with my child's mom, my other child's mom, the whole day. That's what the evidence will show. Evidence will show that my daughter was prematurely born. She was autistic. My son Ronnie was diagnosed at the age of 3 with developmental delay and had the history of SLD. The evidence will also show that he was present but does not remember accurately or consistently what happened for many reasons, making him unreliable when it comes to the actual facts. He also has been diagnosed with PTSD, as he should be, because this is a very traumatic thing that he went through. He also was diagnosed with major depression disorder, intermittent confusion, and delirium. The evidence is going to show, the evidence and testimony will show that Ronnie Blair, formerly known as Ronnie O'Neal IV, may have been coached on what to say by family members
Objection to argument.
and or law
Hold on. I will overrule the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. O'Neal, again, jury, this is what both sides believe the evidence is going to show, all right? And again, you will be the ultimate determiner of what the facts are. You may proceed, Mr. O'Neal.
Thank you, Your Honor. And these are also actual facts that Mr. Harmon left out when he told you about the report of his former psychologist. When he told you that he was adopted by his family members, which didn't work out as well, and he had to be placed with another family, which is now the Blair family. In that same report, it talked about how he may have been coached by family members. The evidence is going to show that my son was adopted by a detective who formerly worked in this case. Whom he now lives with. And I don't have a problem with that because he needs care. But I do have a problem with Mr. Blair being involved in this case, being called as a witness, being the new father of my son, and now he's being called as a witness when he could possibly been coached by his new father,
Objection.
who is
Speculation
law
and proper
enforcement.
argument.
All right, and again, Mr. O'Neill, I'll rule the objection. Again, this is what Mr. O'Neill is asserting the facts will be. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The evidence will show and prove that very vital evidence was definitely tampered with, which was a strategic omission to cover up the facts of this case, making much more of the evidence unreliable. As I know for a fact, it was altered as well. The evidence is going to show that the 911 call of Kenyatta Barron is not compatible with what Khalil Brown saw and heard outside of my home. The evidence is going to show, when it's all said and done, who put those excessive lacerations on Kenyatta Barron's face. I can guarantee you that. In this trial or the next one, I can guarantee you that. Because like I said, I look alone, but I'm backed by a mighty God. And ultimately, it will show that none of the state's witnesses can draw any conclusions, especially because they didn't see anything that refutes my self-defense claim and theory. And nor can the state do so beyond their very reasonable doubts that will be revealed. The very reasonable doubts that will be